Rahim. Honorable assistance, salam alaikum. Donc, dans le cadre des soutenances des doctorats en informatique, on a aujourd'hui la soutenance de doctorat de Mademoiselle Farah, dont l'intitulé est Prediction of Electric Charge with Deep Learning Models. Donc, أولاً رحبوا بضيوفنا على رأس البروفيسور خليل علي مرحبا فيما يلبي الدعوة يحضر. نشكر كل أعضاء اللجنة على رأسهم البروفيسور سيريدي، الأستاذ الزادرة، الأستاذ فارح، والأستاذ كواحل. دونك سمعت بالك شوية ستريس، بقينا صمتنا شوية قلنا بالك شي تنحى وجا apparemment que baisse. Donc vous avez à peu près 30 minutes pour expliquer l'essentiel de ton travail بالأقل وركزي على الحوايج اللي حابة تفهميني.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to begin by expressing my gratitude to the member of the jury for taking the time to carefully examine my work. A warm welcome to all participants and to the audience present. It's with great pleasure that I'll share with you some insights and advances we've made through this presentation entitled Prediction of Electric Charge with Deep Learning Models. First of all, to put you into the context, predicting electricity consumption is very important for the companies to keep control over the distribution of this energy in a reliable and optimal way, which is also an economic and environmental advantage. So we'll try to forecast this energy in Algeria using different artificial intelligence models such as convolutional neural networks, artificial neural networks, supervector regression, or transformer. And we will be doing that by covering these 5 sections. First of all, we'll see the problems in predicting electricity consumption and the proposed solutions. Then we will discuss the needs behind the use of statistical analysis on the data. After that, we'll explore the models tested and the results that we harness to forecast. We will also study the impact of the energy on the environment. And finally, a conclusion and some perspectives for future works. First of all, the principal problem in predicting electricity consumption is to satisfy the demand on the society. At a time of ever-increasing electricity demand, the crucial question is how to balance electricity supply and demand with the continuing growth in the use of electrical appliances in various domestic and industrial sectors. This complex dynamic requires a precise anticipation of energy needs, particularly in the age of smart cities and connected technologies, where the demand fluctuates unpredictably. In Algeria, for example, we have more than 1 million companies, which means that the electricity consumption is constantly on the rise. So it's imperative to accurately forecast this energy in a reliable way to avoid costly disruption and guarantee optimum distribution. In a context where every interruption can have a significant economic impact, so the ability to accurately predict this energy is becoming a strategic priority to ensure the continuities of industrial and commercial operations, as well as to support the country's economic development. So the challenge of this study relates to the management of a voluminous quantity of data. How can we approach this mass of data to extract relevant information? How can artificial intelligence be effectively integrated into electrical load to optimize production and distribution in a sustainable way? And finally, how can we design a system capable of switching between different sources of energies, including renewables, to meet demand while minimizing pollution and promoting a cleaner environment? So the proposed solution is having a decades of electricity consumption. Statistical analysis will come into the game, allowing us to detect trends, anticipate seasonal variations, user behaviors, and other factors influencing electricity demand. So our proposal is to develop some deep learning models that have the ability to capture complex relations between the data and accurately forecast consumption patterns. They will also take into account the particularities of Algerian behaviors, daily trends, and varied profiles. Now we are going to talk about the first step, which is crucial to our solution, which is the statistical analysis. In order to perform a short-term prediction about electricity consumption, it becomes imperative to perform an in-depth analysis on this vast database. So we start proceeding by giving an overview of the data. So a number of statistical measures were calculated throughout the analysis of 18 consecutive years. The maximum and the minimum values of consumption have been identified to visualize peaks and troughs in demand over the study period. The average has been calculated to determine the central value representative of electricity consumption, and the standard deviation was to assess the dispersion of the data around the mean. Also, the coefficient of variation, which gives an indication of the relative variability of the data compared to the average. The curve illustrating that the percentage of variation remains below 31%, as shown in the figure, and that the average coefficient variation is around 26%. This observation suggests that the data has a uniform distribution of values and a moderate level of fluctuation. For the calculated correlation, the horizontal examination highlights that there is 3 well-defined time slots, from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m., from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and from 9 p.m. to midnight, which represent morning, evening, and the night respectively. Then we move on to visualize the data, thus enabling a deeper understanding of energy consumption and its variation. In the first figure, we can clearly see that the distribution of the consumption is constantly increasing from year to year, probably due to the population increasing and the use of more electric devices such as phones, computers, or air conditioner. On the other hand, the daily distribution per hour scheme follows a profile showing that the consumption starts to increase at 6 a.m. and peaks at 9 p.m. Knowing that the electricity consumption in Algeria is dominated by home consumption, which accounts for just over 60% of overall consumption. So the 9 p.m. peak represents where almost everyone is at home. Then we applied the K-means to group different periods of power consumption to distinct clusters based on their similar characteristics. This facilitates the identification of specific trends or behaviors in the data. As an example, we have the case of a whole year where we found 3 different clusters that mainly represent the seasons of the year. With a very interesting observation is there is a mix between the autumn and the spring mixed on the same cluster because of their similar behavior, or similar behavior. To take this study a step further, trend and seasonality were also studied in order to gain a better understanding of Algerian habits and seasonal variation. These 2 curves show that despite the considerable increase in consumption over the years, the profiles remains almost unchanged. After understanding our data over a period of several years, we have implemented a variety of models, and for each one tested, different architecture and activation function have been used. We wanted to start by some linear models, such as linear equation, to obtain a linear equation based on the consumption peak of the previous 3 days, providing a model adapted to the shape of the data. This approach enables to make a reliable forecast based on historical electricity consumption. Then, given the strong correlation between the temperature and the electricity consumption, we included the temperature as an exogenous variable into the equation for a multiple regression. And this approach makes a more holistic perspectives on electricity consumption prediction. Then we have the supervector regression, which is a type of supervector machine known for its ability to handle complex data with nonlinear trend. And a grid search approach was implemented of different combination of the 2 key hyperparameters, the kernel and the regularization parameter C. The aim was to identify the optimal configuration that maximizes forecast accuracy. Then we have the random forest, which is a machine learning algorithm that constructs several decision trees during the training. And such as supervector regression, we combined with the grid search method, offering a powerful approach to predict electrical load by efficiently explore a wide range of parameters. For example, we have the N estimators, which give the number of the decision trees included in the ensemble. The max depth defines the maximum depth of each decision trees, and the mean sample spread or mean samples leaves indicate the minimum number of samples required in a leaf of the tree. For deep learning models, we begin by using artificial neural networks, to which we supply the data features. We also explored the two types of convolutional neural networks, one-dimensional and two-dimensional, known for their ability to extract relevant features thanks to their convolutional layers. And for both types of models, we tested different architectural combinations varying the number of the neurons, the number of the hidden layers, and different activation function. Then we have the GAN, or Generative Adversarial Network, has been tested, which can generate synthetic power based on observed characteristics. It consists of a generator and a discriminator in a competition. The generator creates synthetic data while the discriminator attempts to distinguish between the real data and the fake one. By using the generator to simulate different electricity demand scenarios and the discriminator to assess the accuracy of this prediction against the real data, GANs can help improve electricity load prediction models by generating more realistic synthetic data and thus refining forecasting capabilities. Using these models was extremely beneficial. Most of them gave us a 98% of good prediction, knowing that we used raw data, means without separating special days or holidays and so on. It can be seen that some models such as artificial neural network and convolutional neural network show high performance in terms of errors with very low values with the matrix root mean squared error and mean absolute errors. On the other hand, the least good model is the GAN with just 92% of good predictions, since it's not really a predictor but rather a generator. However, a major drawback was that for each model we had to retrain the data from scratch, which took an enormous amount of time to test each model. To remedy this situation, we explored the use of transfer learning. Transfer learning is a machine learning method where the knowledge acquired by a model on one task is reused to improve performance on another similar task. The first step in transfer learning is to pre-train a model on specific tasks to capture the inherent feature in the training data. This feature or this knowledge can be extracted from the internal layers of the models. Its weights are used as starting point to train a model of the target task. And during this phase, the layers of the model can be reset or adjusted to suit the new data of the target task. And having benefited from a historical vast data, which was carefully studied previously, where the frequency analysis revealed a cyclical nature to power consumption that is repeated nearly every year, a strategic approach was developed to optimize the power consumption prediction process. In this approach, the data is split into two distinct parts. In the first part, the best architecture of the CNN model is selected and trained on this initial section of the historical data, enabling the model to acquire a deep understanding of characteristics and patterns of power consumption. The next phase of this strategy is based on transfer learning. The CNN model pre-trained is transferred and applied to the second part of the data. This approach is based on the observation that the annual profile of electricity consumption remains essentially the same from one year to the next, showing only an increase of electricity consumption. Transfer learning saves significant time by using pre-trained models as a starting point, reducing the time need to train a model from scratch. And by capitalizing on pre-trained models, transfer learning optimizes space utilization by avoiding duplication of effort and minimizing the need to store a large amount of training data. And the transfer learning generally leads to improved model performance on new tasks by leveraging knowledge previously acquired on similar tasks, enabling faster adaptation and better generalization. The results of transfer learning are very promising. Indeed, with this technique, we achieved significant results in just 20 epochs, compared with the 100 or more epochs required without this approach. This clearly demonstrates the effectiveness and undeniable advantage of transfer learning in this context. These results encourage us to pursue this area to further optimize our performance and reduce the time need to train our models. This energy predicted plays an essential role in our modern society, but its use has a significant impact on the environment. The way we produce, we consume, and we manage energy has a harmful effect on the environment. The main sources of carbon, greenhouse gases in general, include fossil fuel combustions. When we burn fossil, or when the company burns fossil, such as coal, oil, or natural gas, to produce energy, whether is for electricity or heating or transport, this release carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen oxides into the atmosphere. And these gases are known for their harmful impact on global warming, air acidification and smoke formation, air quality and public health, compromises the marine biodiversity and threatens marine ecosystems, and causes dryness and deforestation to forests. Fossil fuel combustion stands out as the primary contributor to carbon dioxide emissions, while industrial processes like cement and steel production contribute significantly, accounting for approximately 4% of emissions. But the predominant concern lies with the fossil fuel, which represent 87% of carbon dioxide emissions. And when it comes to examine the cause of carbon dioxide emissions in more detail in Algeria, we found that the emission factor is strongly influenced by the choice of energy source, which is the natural gas, because of its vast reserves in the country. It's remarkable in the figure that natural gas occupies a dominant position, accounting for around 2/3 of Algerian energy consumption and 31% from fossil liquids like petroleum. The estimated carbon dioxide emission factor for Algeria using natural gas is 548 grams per kilowatt hour, which is relatively high comparing it to the world average of carbon dioxide emission. This disparity highlights the need for Algeria to diversify its energy mix and to explore more sustainable alternatives in order to reduce its impact on the environment. In mathematics, the relationship between energy, carbon dioxide emissions can be simplified by the following equation, where the emission factor is the amount of carbon dioxide emissions emitted per unit of electricity. So the proposed solution is electricity is generated at the plant, which results in carbon dioxide emissions into the atmosphere. This electricity is then transmitted and distributed through the national grid. Once individuals consume this electricity, their consumption is accurately measured by electrical sensors integrated into smart grid, forming a detailed historical real-time data of electricity consumption. This data is used to perform an advanced prediction to precisely estimate the carbon dioxide emissions generated by power generation. If this estimate reaches a limit that exceeds the regulatory limits for carbon dioxide emissions, This underlines the crucial importance of integrating renewable energies that have the advantage of an emission factor close to zero, making a significant contribution to reduce the carbon footprint of power generation. This strategy guarantees a stable supply while minimizing dependence on fossil fuels, leading to a significant reduction in carbon dioxide emissions. The prediction done in the proposed approach used a model called the transformer, which is a deep learning model with an attention mechanism specially used for natural language processing and translation. The transformer architecture consists of an encoder and a decoder, both with their own components and process. This model is known for its ability to capture long-term dependencies between elements of the sequence without using recursivity like RNN or convolution like CNN, but using a probability distribution with a softmax function in the attention layer. In this approach, we used only the encoder part of the custom transformers so that it could be adapted to the data used and transform the output into a day-ahead prediction. So we start by positional encoding, which is essential to maintain the chronological order of power consumption times. It assigns a specific value to each element of the sequence according to its relative position in the series. Then a layer normalization procedure is implemented to guarantee the stability of the data stream by normalizing the activation. The output is then forwarded to a multi-head attention layer that enables the model capturing the complex relationship between the elements. The dropout layer will deactivate certain neurons to prevent overfitting of the model. Next, a convolution layer and a dense layer is used to introduce convolution operation on the resulting attention sequence. This global process offers a robust architecture combining attention and convolution for accurate prediction of electric charge time series. The transformer encoder model is compared to the RNN and LSTM models because of their similarities to assess its performance. The transformer encoder model's outstanding performance in the training phase demonstrates its significant potential for solving the challenge in prediction. This ability to achieve a high level of accuracy enhances its relevance in the time series field, particularly for the prediction of electricity consumption. So with 4 blocks of encoder with head size equals to 12, the architecture gave an excellent result and it performed better than a sample RNN and LSTM. In the context of reducing carbon dioxide emission associated with electricity generation, accurate forecasting of energy needs has direct impact on carbon dioxide emissions by improving the production, delivery, and use of electricity. The table shows the result for carbon dioxide emission, highlighting the value predicted by the transformer over the period of few hours in a day. A significant observation emerged regarding the direct correlation between calculated carbon dioxide emissions and predicted values. An increase in consumption is directly proportional to an increase in carbon dioxide emissions. And as the International Energy Agency predicted that the global pollution will reach more than 32 million tons by the year 2020, although the figures are expressed in grams, commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions remains essential, particularly through greater integration of renewable energies. For conclusion, our approach based on statistical analysis and deep learning models offers a promising solution to the challenge of electricity supply-demand balance. And through our work, we aim to ensure more efficient, economical, and sustainable energy distribution. We have known that the transfer-based encoder perform in predicting electricity, and there is a strong correlation between power energy and carbon dioxide emissions. So, optimal and accurate forecast will reduce the carbon dioxide emissions generated by production of energy. But we're not stopping there. We plan to improve these models by incorporating other variables like weather and so on. This will enable to further refine our prediction and better manage electricity production and distribution. Thank you.